Selling your house is one of the most stressful things you can do, and in today's tricky market, it's got a whole lot harder.
We're on a mission to turn unsellable houses into unstoppable sellers.
I'm going to get the best out of the houses.
While I get the best out of the estate agents.
Together, we're going to show you the tricks of the trade to make an unsellable house sellable.
Coming up on today's programme, Sophie tries to freshen up a stale interior.
I've just found a half-sucked cough bath.
An unhappy vendor vents his anger.
If you ask me, do I do a better job than the agent? I think yes.
So I sample one of his house viewings from hell.
Look at it, it's full.
We've come to one of South East England's wealthiest areas to address today's unsellable.
In 2008, 6 of the 10 most expensive streets outside London were right here in Weybridge. Previous residents include John Lennon, Cliff Richard, even Henry VIII.
But despite over 100 viewings of this property, no one seems to want it. It's a 4-bedroom 1970s terrace in a quiet cul-de-sac with 2 bathrooms and a front and back garden. It was first listed at £440,000, but after 18 months on the market, the price has been dropped by a whopping 65 grand to £374,950. I know the area is desirable, and I want to find out why the house isn't.
And I'm going to head into town to pick up some local knowledge before I talk to the estate agent.
Meet John and Jill, their daughter Melanie, and their dog Sweet. They have been living in this house for 7 years, but need to sell up because John and Jill have decided to split up.
Well, we want to move really because we're going our separate ways.
After 18 months of sleeping in the spare room, Jill's at the end of her tether.
We are just very desperate to make the move. Our lives have been on hold for the last 18 months, and we need to move. Both of us need to move forward and start our lives again.
Their daughter Melanie is also keen to move on.
At the moment, it's a bit intense because my mum and dad don't get on at all, so it'd be quite good to get out and be able to sort of be a bit more relaxed at home and stuff.
But moving on isn't an option without a sale, and John is convinced that the agents aren't up to scratch. They've sent over 100 people to view the house, and John doesn't think that they were the right viewers.
We've had people say to us, it's a 70s house. Yeah, it's mid-terrace, that's correct. We don't like either of those two things.
We don't know whether they've sent genuine people round now, whether they're just time fillers.
Salesman John doesn't trust them to do the viewings either, and is convinced he does a better job himself.
If you ask me, do I do a better job than the agent? I think yes. And the reason for that, not ego or big-headed, is that 3 people have gone back to the agent and said to them, very, very good show, and you should really employ that guy.
So, what is it that's keeping this house from moving off the market? Time to take a look for myself. It's a nice, quiet, leafy cul-de-sac, which is a good start. A good location. But the stalemate might be because this house feels a bit stale. Oh, God. I think that belongs to the dog. It really smells. OK, correct that. I mean, very, very stale. Doesn't exactly scream buy me, does it? It's screaming clean me. It's not just the carpet. Look at that, I can practically paint my name in the goldfish bowl. Even the goldfish are desperate to leave. It's lucky they can't remember the good times. Pretty hard, I don't think anyone's going to be eating them. I think this family might have a problem with throwing things away. I mean, look, fairy lights that have run out. I mean, they can go for a start. This is a good-sized room, but it's filled with clutter everywhere you look. Perhaps it'll be better upstairs in Jill's temporary bedroom, if I can get the door open. You don't want to have to force yourself into rooms. Oh, my goodness. I've just found a half-sucked cough bath. Words actually fail me. I mean, is this a junk room or is it a bedroom? I mean, we've got a bow tie, we've got some really old plastic flowers, a lizard. I can't believe this is Jill's bedroom. Splitting up is stressful enough without having to sleep in the store cupboard with John's clothes. To sell this house, this room needs a clear purpose. What is that I can smell down the hall? Is it a squat? No, it's a teenager's bedroom. Wow. I thought the other rooms were full of clutter, but this is taking it to a whole other level. We've got the mandatory old tangerine, we've got an old shirt, a shop receipt. I've never seen so much stuff in all my life. It's extraordinary. I mean, it's just stuff everywhere. Melanie may love this room, but buyers won't. It's so cluttered they won't be able to see its potential as a light, airy bedroom. In fact, you could fit a double bed in there, but not amongst the debris. It just collects dust. Nice. On paper, this house shouldn't have a problem selling, but when you go inside, it's bland, it's stuffed to the rafters with clutter that's just collecting dust. In its present state, it is unmemorable and totally unsellable.
To help work out why this house has been left on the market for so long, I'm going to check out the area. Weybridge is an exclusive commuter suburb of London. The train into the city only takes 30 minutes. There's easy access to the M3 and the M25, but it's also surrounded by rivers and woods. So it's got great access, but at the same time it has a sense of being a small, rural town with its own identity, which makes it doubly desirable. The schools are good, and with several corporations having their headquarters based there, just as many people commute into the area as commute out of it. This is a really nice, comfortable little town, and if you're looking for a spot of exclusivity within easy reach of London, you could do a lot worse than move here. I'm surprised this house is still on the market. Time for John and Jill to face the facts with Sophie.
The things I think that could be improved with this room, you've got
Old carpet.
a very old
Very
and
old rug.
slightly stained carpet.
It's very stained.
Then you've got these quite dark sofas and pale walls. There doesn't feel like there's much design cohesion. This isn't the only problem. There's also a lot of excess baggage, which is making the shelves groan. I think you're not very good at throwing things away, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely right.
I'm better than some people.
I love that you both look at each other.
You've got to be joking.
Did you just see what I had to do there?
Yes.
Yes.
I had to force the door. Now that is just not the right, not the right statement to be making.
Oh, isn't it?
No. Now, is the stepladder always here?
Yes, it is.
Right. So you've got a bed that's too big for the room. You've got a stepladder in the corner. And this was the most extraordinary thing I found in here. A half-sucked cough pastel. You people can't throw anything away. It's all very well pointing the finger, but it's not all Jill stuff, is it, John? Things like this.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your comedy bow tie?
Correct.
Correct. Now,
From the new year.
from the new year. Now, all these things...
That's harsh.
All these things need to go.
Yes, indeed.
This room needs to be made to feel much bigger, much brighter. At the moment, it's just like half bedroom, half junk room. It looks like the place that when you don't know what to do with something that you put it in there. Well, should we go into Melanie's room then? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm marshalling the troops for battle. Now,
It's lovely.
it does look lovely, doesn't it? If you were a buyer and you walked into this room, what were the 3 things you'd think? 1, clutter. 2, more clutter. 3, even more clutter.
I hope when people come into this room, they have got imagination.
Beep. Wrong answer, Jill. You've got to make the rooms look amazing for people. At the moment, this room, I can't see how big it is. It looks dark, it feels cluttered, it feels grubby. We need your house to stand out from the crowd. So we need a blank canvas to start with, and that means we need to get rid of the posters in this room. So do I have permission to start?
Well, she won't be very happy about it, but,
But
we own the
Melanie
house,
wants-
don't we?
Yeah, you own the house, and Melanie probably wants to move on as much as you two, so she's going to understand.
At some stage, they're going to have to come off the wall.
John and Jill will have to make changes in order to move on with their lives, because as it is now, their house really is unsellable.
So far, Weybridge looks like a very good town, but to get to know what it's like to live here, I want to talk to the locals. So tell me, what's good about Weybridge? Why do people like Weybridge?
It's a lovely town.
Good community spirit, or?
Yeah, there is, yeah. Everybody seems to know everybody.
Yeah.
Well, we know most of the people in the shops here.
Yeah.
Only 20 minutes to Heathrow,
Yeah.
about 30 minutes to Gatwick, and about 30 minutes to City.
You think it's a nice place to bring up kids?
It's a lovely place, yeah, because you have fantastic schools in the area.
Yeah.
Imagine for small, families with young children, it'd be great for schools, yes, and playing areas and so on.
Good shops, good restaurants.
It's a very good restaurant.
It's a mix. Yeah, it's a mix.
It certainly seems to have a friendly community. This is the sort of area that people aspire to live in. I find it hard to find a fault with the place. Anybody who can afford to live here should be laughing.
Back at the house, it's time for my favourite bit. Chucking out the chintz and clutter so that I can see my way clear to a design plan. A dirty rug, a dirty fish tank, and old curtains. On their own, not a major problem, but if you combine all three in a room, you don't get a very good impression, and that doesn't get you a sale. And there's a lot more random objects that need to go before we can really see the full potential of this house. Oh, you've been done decluttering? Now, it's quite interesting. When I asked you and Jill who was the hoarder, you both pointed at each other. Do you think you both have a tendency to keep hold of things that should really be thrown away?
I'm not as bad as her.
Yeah, surprising. It's not just decluttering that's needed here. We're being really radical and actually throwing stuff out. Oh, I'm loving your work, John. Look at that. They're getting stuck in upstairs while Melanie's out, I notice. Decluttering now means you don't have to pack again when you move. Finally, it feels like I've got a blank canvas to start work on.
After my recce around Weybridge, I reckon this is still the perfect area for people looking for a leafy retreat within half an hour of the city. And houses around here are still selling. Here's 3 that sold recently. Detached, arranged as 2 apartments, large garden, on the market for 4 months. Sold for £675,000. Brand new detached, 5 bedrooms, 2 receptions. Sold for just under £1.4 million. And this semi, with 3 bedrooms, a modern kitchen and landscaped garden. 4 months on the market, sold for £382,000. Despite the sluggish market, Weybridge is still reeling the buyers in, so the lack of a sale isn't down to location. Time for Sofie to work her magic in the house. This house is a bit tired at the moment and it's got absolutely no design cohesion whatsoever. But now we've got rid of the clutter, we have a plan. The spare room, I want it to go from storage room to a proper guest room. Melanie's room needs to lose its extreme teenage clutter. And the sitting room and dining room, first of all, they need a good paint job. We could try a colour like green, but it might make the room look smaller. So we're going to pick just one green accent wall and paint the rest a revitalising white. We're keeping green accessories dotted throughout the room to pull it all together. John has a litany of complaints about his agents and is convinced he can sell a house better than the experts. So, I want to take a tour around the house with him and see exactly how he's been pitching his property. John's recipe for a successful viewing starts in the kitchen. OK, the kitchen.
There's a couple of features here that we like to demonstrate. We've got 2 larders here. We've got a straight larder, as we can see, just with shelves in. And then...
Look at it, it's full.
Buyers do want to know about storage, but not in such great detail.
Our boiler, you think, well, a boiler's a boiler's a boiler, but
Yes, it may be, but the reason I'm showing that is because it's 180-degree opening of the cupboard.
Fascinating. Wonder what other exciting features this house is concealing.
That's an evening setting, and you've got...
That's just with the lights off, though, isn't it?
Well, there are some lights still on.
And there's more.
So you've got a ladder towel radiator, which is really, really nice. When we first bought it, they were really, really expensive, but as the years have gone by, they've become quite cheap now.
First-time viewers don't care about the price of a heated towel rail. They just want to get a feel for the house. John doesn't realise he might be a big part of the problem and blames it on the estate agents instead.
We see them just whistling through.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, God forbid, what do they do when we're not here?
Yeah.
Even quicker whistle, probably.
Yeah.
You know.
If John continues to do the tours himself, this house is never going to sell. I need to get to talk face-to-face with his agents. Now, if you want to avoid problems with your agents, here's a couple of tips you've got to remember. If you're using an estate agent, make sure you get your money's worth. If they're doing things you don't like, arrange a meeting with them to calmly thrash things out. John's an experienced salesman, but that makes it hard for him to accept that anyone could do as good a job of selling his house as he could. But I think it's a really bad idea, vendors doing their own viewings. He's got to learn to trust the agents. If you're getting lots of viewings but no interest, double-check that your estate agents are screening people and not just sending anyone along.
John and Jill's house has been on the market for over 18 months. Their marriage has broken down and they are desperate to move out and on with their lives.
We are just very desperate to make the move.
But then the Unsellables team stepped in. John is tackling the sales issues and I'm breathing new life into a stale property. First came the deconstructions, then the reconstructions. Even John's entering into the swing of things. We're painting the door frames white to freshen up the sitting room and to add a contrast to the stunning wooden floors. And I'm keen to get the green wall painted to see how it brightens up the rest of the room.
John's been doing some viewings himself. I think this is a really bad idea. So I've set up a meeting with him and his estate agents so they can iron out their differences and then John can let them get on with doing their job. It's showdown time. John versus his two estate agents. John's main concern is that the agents are not sending him people who are really in a position to buy.
I would like to draw the criteria, rightly or wrongly, and it may be a very small, narrow thing, but people who have either sold their property or who are in rented accommodation.
I'm afraid it is a numbers game, and you do, especially in this market, John, you know, the more mud we can throw at the wall, the more of it that's going to stick.
I take what you're saying about not prejudging what people are going to buy, but you felt that a lot of people weren't proceedable when they came to the house. In other words, to be clear that they haven't got an offer on their house or mortgage financing in place.
If we were talking about 20 people come through, what you've said is fair. But with a poll of 100, it's not.
So you want basically just proceedables to come up?
Yeah, I think because then you've got a serious thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't look very happy with that, but it's 1-0 to John, and he's on a roll now. And yes, he's moving on to the viewings.
It's there to be sold, it's not there to be shown. It's the case of, you know, this is a better road. Sell it, it's a better road.
John thinks he can do the viewings better than the agents, but what do they think?
We find that viewers will be much more honest with us about feedback because I think most people are too polite. You know, there's certain people who are going to come around and they're going to really, really like the way you show it. And there's going to be others who are going to say straight away, I don't like this house. I just wish this guy would, you know, be quiet and so I can get out of here.
Spot on. He must have been through one of John's viewings too. So the estate agent has equalised. He isn't going to let John get away with doing the viewings. My sentiments, exactly.
I think at the moment we've got a plan anyway. You've got to agree on qualifying the leads, if you like. John, you want to step back out of the picture and let them sell it, because if you didn't trust them to do it, you wouldn't be giving them the job in the first place.
I hope now that they'll be able to drum up some serious prospective buyers for the relaunch.
So now the pressure's on me to make sure that this home will grab any viewer. It's been a bit of a monster, but after some ruthless chucking out, then getting the marigolds out, we've worked a major design transformation for much less than £1,000. So while John, Jill and Melanie are away from the house, it's time for me to do the finishing touches. When you're selling your house, it's quite important to depersonalise and declutter because potential buyers find it difficult to imagine themselves in the house if your CDs, books, family albums and posters are covering the wall. Now, with your CD collection, you don't need everything, so find out what you do listen to and what you don't give them to a charity shop. Really think about the circulation space around your rooms. Don't block doorways with heavy lumps of furniture because it will make the room look cramped. And when moving things around, remember there are 2 ways to do this. My way or the wrong way. Brilliant. Other people will be put off by your grime, so keep everything sparkling clean for those viewings.
Ah, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How's it going with you?
I'm getting rid of all these music posters. Do you listen to much Kerrang?
I think Kerrang's a magazine.
Oh, look at you. Well, no, it's looking really nice in there. There's a bit of design cohesion going on. It's bigger and brighter. Concentrate. How's it going with you?
It's going pretty well. I've got John together with the agents and I think I've persuaded him to let them get on with the job of selling the house.
Right.
Although I think he's going to be keeping them on a pretty tight rein.
Oh, gosh.
3 days ago, John and Jill's unsellable home was at a stalemate. Its potential was lost under a mountain of junk and clutter, and its rooms had no clear direction. After 18 months of languishing on the market, it felt stale, grubby and unloved. But now we'd breathed some fresh air into its corridors. The sitting room had some badly positioned furniture and a dirty old rug. Not anymore. By moving the sofas, we've opened up the space, creating a calm living environment. Replacing the rug draws attention to the fabulous wooden floor and not the marks on the old rug. This is the first room a buyer sees, and now it will set the whole house off on the right note. The dining room was so full of clutter that the furniture was lost. That's all changed. Now the furnishings have clean, sharp lines, and it's clear that there's room for a whole family to sit down for supper. Jill's tatty single bedroom was doubling as a junk room and had lost its way. Now it's an inviting guest room ready to move into at a moment's notice. Melanie's room used to look like a sixth form common room. Not anymore. It's now an airy, girly retreat where there is clearly room for a double bed. The fresh paint and inexpensive accessories make it feel lived in without being swamped. Selling your home is about selling a lifestyle, and this home has gone from stale to fresh. Time to see what John and Jill think of our creation. Okay, come on in.
Oh my goodness! Gosh.
Wow.
Oh wow, that is really, really.
So, do you think it's
amazing.
quite different?
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
It's different, it's like a show house.
Yeah.
with not a huge amount of money and using a lot of your own furniture, you can really transform the look of a room.
Wow.
And look, there's no clutter.
No.
There's no old tea lights.
No,
Everything's
no.
organised. So far, so good.
Oh my goodness.
It's a proper room again.
Oh my goodness,
Wow.
look at this.
Come on in, John.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
I did a bit of moving around the bed, and look, you didn't need a new bed. You just give it that tiny bit of extra
Space away from
there.
the-
What do you think of the colour?
Ice bloom, isn't it? Very pretty.
For the former teenage den, I really need Melanie's opinion. Come in, Melanie, to the pinkest room you have ever seen in your life.
Wow. It's very different. It seems really like spacious and light. Really quite nice. So I don't want to clutter it up again, so I try and keep it as like this as I can.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, do you like it?
Probably a 9 out of 10.
That's very generous, thank you. The family have given their seal of approval, so this house has gone from unsellable to sellable.
Right, come on in.
It's now down to the estate agents to sell, sell, sell. But let's hope they don't start in the kitchen, because we're in there spying. John hasn't been happy with the way the agents have conducted the viewings, so I want him to learn to trust them by watching on.
It's real emphasis on sort of bright, spacious and airy accommodation. As you can see, flows really well through to here, to the dining room, which is a good size. Can easily sit 4 to 6 there very comfortably. But look, guys, in the garden.
Oh, look, Jimmy, trampoline.
This is quite a pitch. Even John's nodding in agreement.
I think this would make a great room for Jimmy. I think we might have to do something about the colour.
I don't know.
But,
you like pink, don't you, Jimmy?
It'll be good for Charlotte. You've got the Queen's Road just at the end there, and there's some really nice sort of restaurants and shops within walking distance. So, all in all, you know, quiet but convenient as well.
I do like the place. Yeah, I really do like it. It's lovely positioning as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
It's thumbs up for the house, but will Andrew the agent get a rave review too?
So, John, we've seen Andrew back in action post our heart-to-heart.
Yes.
What did you make of his performance with the viewers?
Overall, I think very good.
Good.
It's stuck in his throat, but John has finally realised his agent can sell.
I think it's gone from grubby to gorgeous.
I think it's terrific, and I think the owners have undergone a bit of a transformation as well. John's definitely a bit more relaxed with the agents now. Let's hope he can stay that way and let them get on with their job.
And then, hopefully, we'll get a sale.
When we first met John and Jill, their 70s terrace was unsellable. But then we stepped in and transformed this house.
Since we left 5 weeks ago, the agents have kept to their side of the bargain and delivered viewers who are seriously interested. And John has stopped doing the viewings himself. I think this house will be under offer in no time.